Perfect, thank you very much for joining me. Yes, my name is Sean and you are watching MLS Ireland does predictions week 15. There's been so many, I haven't got a clue what I'm doing. Perfect, thank you very much for joining me. Yes, my name is Sean and this is MLS predictions thing. If you're new to this, hit that subscribe button. It'll be on 204, which is pretty impressive. I tried to get to past 200 last week, and congratulations to everybody who made me get past this, so thank you very much. As you're well aware, most of my weekday things are on Twitch and they're getting better. I can't get worse, to be fair, let's face it. Most of my stuff are predictions were good. I think I got a few incorrect, but you know, that's the name of the game, and this is MLS, and half the teams don't have their own players with them at the moment. So this is kind of it's kind of tricky to figure out which way things are going to go. But anyway, I tried my best, and if you're unfamiliar, it's very warm here today. It's in the 30s. That's very, very warm for Ireland, and my little whatever the hell this is can't really take it. So you hear the fan. But anyway, so it is very warm in this wee room, and so I'm going to kick on and try and get this done very quickly. So first one is Atlanta Columbus Crew, or Columbus Drew. You kind of guess where I'm going with this one. Atlanta have Joseph Martinez back, but they still don't really have a manager. They have this kind of, I don't know if they have that new manager kind of new smell, if that makes any sense, where they're basically going to fight for their new manager because they don't really have one just yet. So they're coming up against the Columbus Crew team who drew during the weekend there, I think last night. As you can tell, these are all on Thursday, and there's 2 more games to be played. I think 3 games to be played tonight. 2 games to be played tonight. So yeah, I'm getting into these right now because I think I'll be away tomorrow night and I won't be able to get these all done. So yes, for me, Columbus Crew, what was I talking about? Yep, they drew yesterday with Nashville 0-0. I kind of predicted a draw, but I didn't think it was going to be like a 0-0. I think there was going to be a bit of a goal in it. This one I went for like a 1-0. I just think Atlanta have a goal in them, but I think Columbus Crew have a goal in them, but they don't have, the two of them don't really have the capability to really win this game at the end of it all. So that's why I kind of went for like a 1-1 draw. They're just two teams that just, they're not in that mindset to win, or to lose, to be fair as well. And the next one is Chicago Fire against Toronto. Chicago Fire again drew against DC United, I believe. Yep, 2-2. Toronto, they drew. It was against New York Red Bulls. So these two teams coming into this one on the back of draws. Toronto finally getting into their swing of things. Chicago Fire capable of getting the result on their day, as whereas why I went for like another 2-2 draw for these two teams. They have the capabilities of scoring. I checked, like, the two teams are at the very start concede a lot, and at the very end they concede a lot, but they don't really score many goals at the start nor the end, if you know what I mean. So this game's going to be I do suspect them to score goals. The two teams don't really have the best of defenses, but they can spring a few goals into this one. So I went for like a 2-2 draw. Next one is Minnesota against Portland Timbers. Minnesota, where did they do? I think they played last night as well, or 2 nights ago. Where's Minnesota? They won against, they beat Seattle, which that was against on the week when they basically, Seattle had a few of their players kind of missing on international duty. You know, MLS players, international duty, gone. Makes sense. It's MLS, and again they're coming up against a very, very, very weird team in Portland, where you would suspect them to win, they lose, like against Minnesota and Austin. But you'd suspect them to win. Sorry, you might suspect them to win, and they get beat by Minnesota and Austin, and expect them to lose. They beat Dallas and they beat LAFC. So this one, they're coming into a Minnesota team who they already got beaten by 1-0. Saying that, I kind of went for a similar result. I went for like a 1 to Minnesota and 0 to Portland, just for the fact is Portland are, these games, it's a game you suspect them to win, they don't. So they're very inconsistent. It's a team that don't really have, I'm not going to say confidence going into the game, but they probably have a wee bit too much. So It's a bad one on them. So yeah, I went for like a 1-0. The next one is FC Dallas against LAFCvVAN. LA Galaxy, they were doing very well, and then in the last 4 they drew 1, lost 2, and 1-1. That was against Dallas, the one, and then they drew against Real Salt Lake and got beat by Vancouver. So this is going to be a third away game. They're coming up against a Dallas team who have, I think they drew the last game. No, they got beat. They were 3 games on the trot too as well, away from home. So they're coming first time at home, coming up against an LAFC team, LA Galaxy team who probably should really win these type of games. I didn't really think of going for another 1-all draw, but I think I may have to on this one. So I'm going to go for like a 1-all draw. Just two teams are LA Galaxy on the road again, but FC Dallas finally at home. You can see where this is going. So yeah, I went for a 1-all. The next one is Nashville against FC Cincinnati. Nashville, who I'm impressed by at the moment. They haven't lost a game in the last 6. Obviously, they've only lost one game completely, but they win, draw, win, draw, win, draw. So you kind of see where this is going. They're coming against the Cincinnati team who have drew their last game, which wasn't too bad against Atlanta. Acosta scored the goal, which was pretty impressive because he's a pretty impressive guy. So yeah, I went for a Nashville 2-0 win, just for the fact that Nashville are surprisingly very good at this moment. They can keep a clean sheet. I think they can keep the types of Acosta at bay. If they do, it's probably just a 1. So I still go for like a 2-0 win, because Nashville is probably just a very good team, and they're 6th in the league, which is pretty good for them. Pretty impressive actually. Don't want to be sounding patronising, but they are doing very well. The next one is Real Salt Lake against Colorado Rapids. Have you noticed now that I'm not mixing these up against Orlando FC now? I'm going to fucking do it now. Anyway, Real Salt Lake or Colorado. Again, 2 teams I haven't barely seen much of this season. Colorado is 5th in the league, which is pretty good. Whereas Real Salt Lake used to be very good, but that's because they didn't play that many games. But anyway, they've only won the one in the last 6. That was against Vancouver. Now they're coming up against I'm going to say a more rounded team, but saying that, I kind of went for like a 0-0 draw. These 2 teams are kind of old guards and old kind of MLS, so you always suspect these 2 teams just to be more consistent. But no, yeah, I'm going to stick with a 0-0 on this one. Like I said, I haven't seen too much of these 2 teams, so I can't really, you know what I mean. The next one is San Jose Earthquakes against Houston Dynamo. San Jose Earthquakes haven't won anything in quite a while, whereas Houston Dynamo, similar, maybe. Yep. They drew many games. So yep, saying that. 2 teams are not in the best of form, so I went for a 1-all draw just for the fact that the 2 teams. I think Houston can spring a result against San Jose, but I'm just going to go for like a 1-all draw. I can't really say too much about that game because I don't think it's going to be all that exciting. The next one is LAFC against Vancouver. LAFC got beat against Portland. They were actually on a good reign of form there, but they got beat by Portland 2-1, which, fair play to Portland, is a game that you would expect them to lose, but they won. And that's our Portland. And now they're coming up against a Vancouver team, who are Vancouver, are 23rd, and drew their last name against Houston Dynamo. Let's see. I went for a 2-all, just for the fact is, 2 teams can probably score. I think Vancouver have the capabilities of getting 2 past LAFC, but I think LAFC have the capability of scoring 2 as well. So I can't see too much of the difference in this one. I know LAFC is 10th and one's 23rd, Vancouver. So again, I suspect it's going to be like a 2-all. It's going to be plenty of goals. So yeah, I'm going for like a 2-all draw in that one. The next one is New England Revolution against Montreal. Montreal are 9th, and they lost their last game against New York City, but they beat Cincinnati, New York City, Miami, so they're not great games to be winning. if you know what I mean. And they're coming up against a very good team now, who now are starting to find their form again, beating Inter 5, which really isn't that much really to say. They beat Atlanta, but then they kind of got beaten by Toronto, Columbus drew, and then FC Dallas, they got beat by them, but then they beat New York Red Bull. But coming into this one, I think they should probably win this one, so I'm going for like a 2-1 win, just for the fact is they're better. Yeah, I'm going to go for that one. I'm going to go for a 2-1 on that one, because they're just, as I said, they're better, and now they're actually finally springing into life. The next one is New York City FC against Colorado. Hey, fucked it up already. Orlando. Two teams who MLS made into a rivalry because they started up basically at the same time, but it's not really a rivalry. These two teams have basically people in their own. No, New York City doesn't have a team in their state. But anyway, do you know what I mean? The name. So New York City coming up against Orlando. Where is Orlando? If they actually started off quite well in the season, and then they drew their last game against Toronto. So coming on against the New York City FC team, I do suspect them to probably might nick this one. I know New York City beat Columbus. They beat Montreal in their last game, but then got beat by Columbus and then got beat by Montreal. So you can see where they're coming into this one. I went for a 3-2 to Orlando. Just Orlando are probably more goal scorers in their team, whereas New York City at home, possibly, I'm not sure whereabouts in home, could be in New Jersey. God knows. So I went for like a 3-2. The next one is Inter against Philadelphia. Philadelphia to win this one, 2-1. I can't see Inter doing all great this season. They have the great players, and if you follow me on Twitter, you would see why I think they're not going to be all that great. And there's not too much to do with the manager. I know he's unexperienced and all that kind of stuff, but they have too many players, too many good players, where they don't really have many workers. If you take the Liverpool team, they had a couple of good world-class players, but they had a great team of players. So this is where Inter have a great team of players, but a lot of world-class, well, not a world-class players, but you know what I mean. So that's where I think they're going to fall short this season. So yeah, I went for like a 2-1 win to Philadelphia. The next one is DC United against New York Red Bulls. I think this is possibly a rivalry. DC United coming in on the back of a 2. Didn't they win, or did they drew? They drew. Let's see. Yep, they drew against Chicago Fire, which isn't a great result, and then they got beat by Philadelphia, but then they beat Toronto 7-1. So they're coming into this one kind of springing back into life against the New York Red Bulls team, who I suspect them to win. New York Red Bulls drew their last two against Toronto and Philadelphia. I went for a 2-1 win to to DC United. Just them getting this result, a 2-2 draw, scoring 2 in the last 10 minutes, kind of gave them that. Let's go. That's what they give them. The next one is, and the last one is Seattle against Sporting Kansas City, which is going to be on the exact same time the US men's national team's on it. Yes, I know, it makes sense. Seattle down a few players, Sporting Kansas City probably down a few players. They're coming up against in Seattle. I went for a 2-1 win to Sporting Kansas City. I know Seattle are probably the better team, but without their probably Rodan basically in their team, I can't see them nicking this one. Sporting Kansas City are a better team, and they're actually not too bad on the road. So I went for a 2-1 win to Sporting Kansas City. Perfect. Those are my predictions. I hope you enjoyed them. As I said, if you're new to this, hit that subscribe button. And I got there's one game on during the week. So follow over to Twitch, and I'll be doing a couple of things about it and chatting and all that stuff. So chat to you then. Bye now.